For GP1B, we're doing the exact same thing we did for GP1A. We are going to identify the vertex and use the graphing pattern to graph the function. So again, we have an equation here in vertex form. The first thing we want to do is identify that vertex. Now remember, the vertex is the h and k from vertex form. So let's just remind ourselves, vertex form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So in this equation here, our h is this 2, but remember, we're using the opposite of h. So our vertex is going to be now at a -2, and the k value is what we see here, and that's a +7. Then we want to take a look at our a value to determine whether our parabola opens up or down. And with this equation here, our a value is negative, which indicates that our parabola opens in the downward direction. Our graphing pattern from the vertex is 1, 4, 9, 16, etc., whatever we can fit on our graph. But because our a value is negative, these numbers are going to take us down from the vertex. So we're going to start by plotting our vertex at -2, +7. I'm going to go ahead and draw my axis of symmetry so that I have a point of reference to count outwards with my points. This axis of symmetry is x equals -2. So then from my vertex, I can now use my graphing pattern, but in the downward direction because my a value is -1. So from here, I move down 1 and over 1. Remember, that's always in both directions because we have that axis of symmetry that divides our parabola into 2 equal parts. Then from the vertex, I'm going to move down 4 and over 2. Then I'm going to move down 9 and over 3. And lastly, I'm going to move down 16 and over 4. And then I can sketch my parabola. Again, make sure you always include as many points as you possibly can on a 10 by 10 graph. So if that 16 put us off the graph, we wouldn't have to put that 16 on there. All right, so now we want to talk about how this graph has transformed from the parent function. How does this graph differ from the parent function? So remember, our vertex is here. But first thing we can notice is that this is upside down, which means that this graph has been reflected across the x-axis. Then it has been translated to the left 2 and up 7. Now you always want to make sure that you talk about the reflection first. That is the first thing that we want to mention when we are talking about a transformation. So always mention that reflection first. So the graph has been reflected across the x-axis, which means it flips upside down, and then we can shift the graph to the left 2 and up 7. And then the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is here at 0, 3. And that is graphing from vertex form.